What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Dudes Who Bet Daily. We got people everywhere for this special September 3rd kickoff Saturday for college football here. This special show. We got Magic here joining us via the phone. Magic, how's it going today?
Oh, it is hot. It is very, very hot here in Los Angeles. I'm out walking the dogs right now, so to make it easier for people, you don't have to see me try and do the selfie thing. I'll just be audio only, but I'm excited, Mike. We got a big, big day of horse racing. If you're not even better, if you're a horse racing fan, days like this are what you cherish.
Yeah, it really is. We've got two monster horses over at Saratoga on the turf. We've got Warlike Goddess and Annapolis that are going to go off at very, very short prices. I couldn't find a way around either of them. Do you think you can beat Warlike Goddess or Annapolis today?
No, I'm not going to try and do it. Warlike Goddess, to me, is one of the best horses in training in the world for her division. And she's facing a bunch of horses who she beat in hand pretty easily last time out. And then she's facing a new shooter from Chad Brown, who, to me, doesn't look any better than any of the other ones that he's sending in here. So I think, to make money, it's one of those races you do a straight exacta, try and find a third or fourth choice underneath and see if you can play that way.
Yeah, it's interesting how they spread both of them out in the sequences. So Annapolis earlier on in the card in the pick 5, Warlike Goddess a little bit later on in the card. And then obviously you got the Grade 1 Jockey Gold Cup, which is a little bit more competitive. So let's talk a little bit more, spend a little bit more time on that Jockey Gold Cup. 1.25 miles, Grade 1 over at Saratoga. It's the 11th race on the card. Your 2-1 morning line favorites, Olympiad, who has been absolutely phenomenal till a loss last time out in the Whitney. What do you think about Olympiad's chances here? It's a decently tough field.
Yeah, I'm going to still take a shot against him here, Mike. It's no shot against the horse. He's had a great campaign, but a big reason I was against him in the Whitney last out, right? Whitney, Whitney. He just had a long campaign, and I thought there were fresher horses or horses with more upside, whereas Olympiad was running at this level. But you also look at his breathing. He's by Spicetown, right? Like we're trying to go 1.25 miles. Like, we've only seen Baffert Spicetown horses be able to try and go that kind of a distance here. So I'm going to take a shot, especially at 2-1. I don't have interest in him here. Big fan of the Shug entry, first captain. Would love to see Shug get it with first captain, also because Shug is very pissed off that there are 4 Pletchers or 4 Browns in every race. Let Shuggy Bear get one of these for once.
Yeah, this time it's 4 Pletchers. He's bringing the whole stable here with the 3-horse Untreated, the 4 American Revolution, the 7 Keep Me in Mind, who just got over to that barn 2 starts ago, and of course Dynamic One as well, the 8-horse. I think first captain's pretty interesting to me. This is one of those 4-year-olds that kind of keeps getting a little bit better as the races get a little bit longer. Today we're going to go that full 1.25 miles distance. Again, the last race was solid in the Suburban, just missed by a nose to Dynamic One. So we're going to try and flip the tables on Dynamic One today. I was a little interested in American Revolution, who we last saw losing to Olympiad, but I feel like this is another 4-year-old that's out of the Pletcher barn who could take a nice step forward here first off the layoff. And if for some reason the distance just isn't what Olympiad wants, I thought that American Revolution was the most likely horse to pop up and get him.
Yeah, I think to me that's the Pletcher horse that I would use of the 4. I know that if you've been following Aaron Halterman's weekly Breeders' Cup Classic Top 10 rankings, he's been very high in American Revolution, and he keeps putting him high. I mean, he's kept saying that this horse needs to run so I can justify putting him. I think he's got him ranked 4th right now. So Aaron's very high on him, made him the top pick over at the website. And I respect the hell out of Aaron's opinion and yours as well. So first captain and American Revolution, I think it's going to come down to those 2. Dynamic One could make it interesting as well, but yeah, those are the 2 that I like here, Mike.
All right, now let's bring Jared into the stream as well here. Jared, talking a little about Jockey Gold Cup. Tell us why you love Tax so much.
Yeah. Did I say that? I don't know. I think he's an interesting pace play in the race. I think he is going to help dictate things a little bit on the front end. But, he's back to open company for the first time in a while, and I'll pass. I'll pass. I think, I heard jumped in a little bit early and listened to your guys' if Halterman is the chairman of the American Revolution fan club, I'm like the secretary of the fan club. I really like this horse as well. I don't like the fact that Olympiad basically is coming in this race with his tail tucked between his legs a little bit, like just got smoked last time out. And American Revolution, obviously, they scratched the horse and pointed to this race to say this is what we think he can do. This is what we think. So I like the horse. American Revolution seems to be coming in this race a little bit better than Olympiad.
Yeah, so it's nice to have a wide open Grade 1 event here, not something that we're going to see in the other older male Grade 1 event, the Pacific Classic, where you've got Flightline sitting on the board at 1-5. I'm picking Flightline. I'm not going to hide that one. I assume you both probably are as well, although Country Grammar is a horse you probably could take if you wanted to. 1-5, is that what we're actually going to go off at here? What do you think, Jared?
I think you will. I think it'll be 1-5, 2-5 at best. I think, John took he had to take some stones here, right, to make this line. But I don't think it's. I think if he set him at 4-5 or something like that, the first click he's 1-9, and so does he float up enough to get past 1-5? I don't think so. 2-5, I think, is the best you're going to get. But come post time, I think 1-5 is about in line, and that says a lot for a race like a Grade 1 $1 million race for the Classic. Like, it's to make a horse 1-5 on the morning line. That takes some stones.
Yeah, and the goal of the morning line is to set what they believe the off odds will be for the horse, to give the public an idea of, okay, what you should expect from a return perspective. It's not saying that John White thinks the horse has an 80% chance to win or anything like that. It's simply what he believes the off odds will be. 1-5 is probably pretty close. And look, if he came out at 6-5 or even money, we would have laughed because we knew that price was not even close.
Exactly.
To possible. So you got to give John credit for trying to properly guess what this horse is going to go off at, because it will be a hell of a lot closer to 1-5 than even money. I can guarantee that. Magic, do you think Country Grammar has a shot? Obviously, Knocked Off Life is good over in Dubai. You think he can turn the table to come over here and now knock off Flightline as well?
Yeah, he definitely has a shot. I think if you look at this field, he has by far the best shot to do it. It's because we don't have any question marks about Country Grammar, really. We know what he is. We know what Baffert can do with him. Hell, we saw him have a great effort off of Dubai. Like, it wasn't, remember Arrogate in that terrible San Diego where he was off the board when he came back from Dubai. So no question marks here. Flightline, there's the big question mark. So, as far as betting wise goes, I probably, depending on what price Country Grammar will go, it ends up being at post time, I might throw like $5-10 on him to win, because I'm not betting Flightline, right? And I'm probably not going to bet an exacta, because I think a lot of these horses, it's the Country Grammar is clearly second best chance to win. So there's no, a 1-2 betting choice straight exacta is pretty shitty. So, I'm going to probably play a little Country Grammar if the price is right, just because there's that chance that if Flightline can't go 2 turns, Country Grammar is the one that's going to do it.
And that's the key, right? It's whether or not Flightline can get that distance. First time today going 1.25 miles. So we'll see if Flightline is able to get that extra 2 furlongs here. From an exacta perspective, I have a little bit of interest in the 4-horse Express Train, who's 3 for 5 over Del Mar with a second place as well. Jared, do you have an ice cold exacta you liked in this one?
I'm kind of more in line with Magic. I just think if there was a horse, that Express Train is the horse. I talked a little bit about him on Blinkers Off, a horse that just he runs really well at Del Mar, and he just seems like a horse that, Sheriffs isn't going to have him in this race if he doesn't think he's going to run well. So he's probably the one, but this is more of a race to me that I'm just going to sit back and watch. And, for people like me, like right now, the future wager for the Classic's going on, and I have a lot of interest in Taba at 25-1 currently, but I'm not going to have any interest in him at 25-1 if Flightline blazes here. You know what I mean? So I'm watching this race as an indicator of, and I think everyone is, of what the Classic division looks like after this Classic race, because this is going to dictate a lot of things on where these horses are going to go. American Revolution could win the Jockey Club, and then Flightline goes and wins this thing by 5, and you're like, well, who cares what happened in the Jockey Club? Or Flightline could get a little weary leg, and all of a sudden you say, well, American Revolution might be a horse that kind of peaks in the Classic at the right time.
Yeah, and you have that future pool you mentioned. Life is Good right now out there. I think it's 14-1, 12-1, somewhere in that range. Both Life is Good and Taba would really like Flightline not to be in this race. Let me tell you. So
do you think, as a future guy, do you think that if he, obviously, right, if he falters, those odds are going to shoot way down on these horses, right?
Yeah, that's the problem with the futures market in the parimutuel world. Everyone will get to see this race and then make a decision if that market's still open. However, if you're looking at sports books with fixed odds, you can see some fixed odds for the Breeders' Cup Classic right now, and that would be where Flightline can absolutely not get this distance. That's where I would attack in those fixed odds markets and try and find places to play horses like Life is Good, horses like Teva, horses like, I mean, even if you really like Epicenter. If Flightline absolutely hits a wall at 1.25 miles today or 8 mile, then go ahead and play Epicenter and see if you can get 4-1, 5-1 in the Breeders' Cup Classic, because he'll be there and you're not getting that if you don't have Flightline in that race. So that might be a good way to attack it as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the other winning you're in here at Del Mar. The Del Mar Handicap is a grade 2. It closes out the card today. Magic, you've got a horse that we both own a little bit of, Tis the Magician, trying the turf here, going 1 mile and 3/8. Any interest in Tis the Magician on the turf? You going somewhere else on top?
Okay, here's the thing. I respect John White. We were talking about the morning line for the Pacific Classic. You guys made all perfect points. You can say the same. He did a great job making this morning line. Tis the Magician should be like 10, 12, 15 to 1 in this spot easily. Like, he's a distance horse, but the reason he's here is because they looked at the Pacific Classic infield and went, well, we were second last year and we're going to be 4th, 5th this year. Like, that's our best chance. Del Mar Handicap, we'll see what happens. I don't think anything good happens. Mike Smith is the one riding him. Mike Smith is the one that rode him when he was on turf in the turf workout last week. And he's the one that told Mandela, yeah, put him on turf. So if this fails, we know who to blame. On top here, man, this is a great field. It's hard to go against Masterpiece. The Eddie Reed Stakes victory that he had last time out, the local prep, was really, he had a really explosive turn of foot, which was nice to see. The horse that I actually thought had a terrible trip and might have been the best one in it, Hong Kong Harry, is going to come up later on this show. So, I've ended up finishing second in Eddie Reed. A Masterpiece is the place to go here, but lots of prices to go to.
Yeah, I thought Masterpiece looked awfully tough as well. I like the different horse. I have a different horse on top. The 2 Gold Phoenix, I think, is very interesting here. Out of the field, the Model Barn has been winning everything on turf out there in California, especially those stakes races. You got Flavian Pratt aboard, returning to his old stomping grounds here. And the last trip, I thought, was just awful. Lost to Gradar, the 3-horse. But the trip was significantly more difficult for Gold Phoenix. He just could not find any room at the top of the lane to get his feet going. Jared, where'd you end up on top here at the in the Del Mar Handicap? I'm sorry, in the Del Mar Handicap.
Yeah, this race is like, you talk about this is, to John's credit, or at least John, I'll go to John's defense a little bit, since Magic's fully attacking him right now. Not cool, by the way, Magic. But no, this one's like, you just throw darts at this one as far as making the morning line, because who the hell knows how these horses are going to be bet? Because the interesting horse, well, I agree, Gold Phoenix is the horse for me that's like the quote unquote new shooter. That's the one I like the most. I almost put that horse on top at 6 to 1, especially. But the tricky part here of making this morning line is I do like Masterpiece. That is my top pick. But you're getting 3 to 1 when you got 16 to 1 on them last time. And I hate when that happens. I hate playing a horse at a short price after they were a huge price the race before. But it's probably deservingly so. I mean, he looked really good that day. He kind of seems like a horse that's kind of coming into his own finally. So I think he's tough. And I do think the pace, you guys mentioned Tis Magician. I think the pace in this race is going to set up very, very well for some of these horses to be flying late and try to pick them off. So do I think this race is an indicator for it is a Breeders' Cup when you're in? No, but I do think it's a hell of a betting race.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun from a betting perspective. I think 3 to 1 is actually pretty fair on Masterpiece as well. As you mentioned, he was 16 to 1 last time out. You really don't love the wedding funeral that setup you got here. Abel Cedillo, not the best turf jockey in the world over there. So that makes it a little tough too. Now, Jared, we don't have a best bet from you. We're going to jump into the best bets. If you want to give out a best bet at the end of the show here, you can let us know as well. We're going to start out here. We'll go with my best bet. I'm going to go to the football side of things here. And Ohio State's facing Notre Dame in a marquee matchup later today. Look, for me, Ohio State is just one of those teams this year that is ultra talented. They are being compared to Alabama from a talent perspective. You got C.J. Stroud, who is a Heisman candidate. You've got an absolute monsters at both running back and at the wide receiver positions. The defensive side of the ball is very strong for Ohio State as well. And Notre Dame is just not very good in these spots. They're 0 for 10 last time they faced the top 10. If you go down to top 5 opponents, they're 0 for their last 11. In 7 of those 11 games, they have lost by 17 or more. Ohio State, if Notre Dame is not able to slow this game down and reduce the number of possessions for Ohio State is going to blow the doors off them. On top of that, we've got College Game Day there. You've got a first-time starter at quarterback for Ohio State. There's going to be lots of drinking in Columbus. That crowd is going to be going absolutely nuts. It's a tough place to play. I like the first half, especially if you can get it minus 9.5. It's available a couple places at 9.5 right now. But give me Ohio State minus the 16.5 for the game. I think they're going to blow the doors off of Notre Dame. Did you look at this one at all, Jared?
I mean, I didn't look at this game specifically. I'm more of an NFL guy, so I don't get too much into the college. Although I am an Arkansas fan, so I think that game today with Arkansas and Cincinnati will be a good test to see 2 ranked teams. So I'll be watching the Arkansas game, but especially from a betting perspective, I like to wait and see a little bit on these to see how these teams are first, beginning of the year before I take stabs. But in a game like that, you get 16.5. I mean, Ohio State clearly is the better team, so they should pound them.
Yeah, I would hope so. And one other just bonus one here as well. If anyone out there wants to play it, we talked a lot about Alabama first half last year. Midway through the season, they were on a 22-5 first half streak. What was happening is that Saban was blowing teams out in the first half, and then they would not cover the game spread because he would slow down so much. So you saw this issue with sportsbooks not able to jack up the game spread. And based on their algorithms, the first half spread was coming back at anywhere from 50 to 66% of the total spread. Well, they made an adjustment in the books, and they moved it to 75 to 80% of the game spread. So you have a 35-point Alabama favoritism and 24-28 laying in the first half because of what Saban was doing. Apparently, they forgot about this over the summer because you're laying 42 for the game today, and you're only laying 27.5 in the first half, about 65% of the total spread. So Alabama minus 27.5 first half, I like a lot as well. It's still available in a couple places, including FanDuel and Bookmaker. So make sure you check out Alabama minus 27.5. It will not be available by game time. That'll be at 28.5, maybe 29 by game time because people are going to start hammering that Alabama first half.
I mean, look, Somich, you never cease to amaze me with the analytics of the game.
You got to find the leaks, man. If you can find a couple leaks in those sports books, you're able to make a couple bucks in these. You just got to be patient and look for them. And that's one where, look, Saban loves blasting teams early and then just absolutely folding it up in the second half. And they were 5-8 against the spread last year, but they were 8-5 in the first half. I mean, it tells you what the style is, especially in these big line games. These are the ones when they're 40-point favorites, they're gonna blow them out in the first half. Right. They may not cover the 42 though. So the bet is Alabama first half versus the game in those spots.
Yeah, then you get the third stringers, fourth stringers come out in the second half, and they just kind of fuck around, basically. they still win the game, but yeah.
Vanilla blitzes, vanilla runs instead of the creative stuff, and all of a sudden you can move the ball a little bit, and you're able to get a couple first downs. And Alabama doesn't have as many possessions; they're not throwing it on 3rd and 5, things like that. We got best bet from Papa Dude. He and Aaron currently on the way to see the Dylan Gabriel Heisman candidacy kickoff here at Oklahoma. But Papa Dude sending this one in from the car. He's going to take San Diego State minus 6.5 today, facing Arizona. Arizona out of the Pac-10 has just been absolutely abysmal the last couple of years. San Diego State looking to start off a strong campaign here. They got a home game. This one goes off at 3:30, so make sure if you want to bet this one, you get it in. It's in the afternoon. All right, we got one more best bet here from Aaron before we put Jared on the spot. Aaron's going to race number 7 at Del Mar. He's going to take the number 8 Hong Kong Harry. This is the one that Magic mentioned earlier on the program. Look, Hong Kong Harry going a mile and an eighth last time, maybe a little bit too long, got a troubled trip. This time we're cutting back to a mile, and we get Flavian Pratt aboard. This is D'Amato, who I talked about last time, or in the last race, who has been absolutely on fire in these turf stakes. 3-1 is a great price. A little bit of a pipe dream. I don't think we're getting 3-1 when this thing goes off. Jared, did you have Hong Kong Harry on top?
Yeah, I did. I do. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think 3-1 is, I wish we could lock that in because that seems wishful thinking. But I mean, you're going to get you'll get, 8-5 or something. So, it's still very playable. And I agree. I think after that Eddie Reed, we're talking about Masterpiece. We talked about how much we like him. This horse obviously exit that race. Just a tough trip, really, especially early. He's horse won 3 races in a row prior. I think he's a huge playback as well. So I love the fact that they kind of said, okay, this is what we have. This is, we're not going to go to that race with, the Del Mar Handicap. This is where we're going to put this horse. Makes a lot of sense. Love the placement. The Del Mar Mile makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I think this horse is very live.
I love it. Yeah, I agree with you at 8-5 too. I think 8-5 is right around the price that you're going to end up getting, and I do think it's worth a win bet if you're getting anywhere above 7-5. That's kind of where I set the threshold for Hong Kong Harry, because I don't think this field came up all that tough either, which I think really sets it up well for him. Do you want to throw a best bet in here, Jared, or should we wrap this puppy up?
Well, after my very very publicized hot streak, I started off in this. I think I went like 8-1 or something to start off the. I've gotten ice cold. I knew it was going to come, but I've gotten ice cold. I think I'm like 8-4 now, 8-5, 8-4, somewhere in there. So I'm back. I'm going to throw, whenever all else fails, what do? You go to the white rat, and that is Bob Baffert at Del Mar. And listen, I don't love playing. I wish he was an Arrogate. I would feel better about it. But let's go to the Del Mar race 6. And number 3, National Treasure, making his debut for Bob Baffert. This is a $500,000 quality road colt making a 2-year-old debut. 5-1 on the morning line. Another interesting morning line. I'm surprised. That makes me a little pause, because if this horse was hyped enough, like John, I think would have made this horse a little bit lower. But still, being a first-time starter. And hear about this. This is a crazy stat. Bob Baffert, John Velasquez gets them out, which I think is a huge sign as well that this horse is live. But I found this stat, and I'll give credit to Christopher Ado on Twitter. He does some horse racing work in the industry. But in the past 5 years, 2-year-old first-time starters on the fast main track sprinting, Bob Baffert, John Velasquez, 83% they team up. So when they've got a first-time starter sprinter, 2-year-old, at Del Mar on the fast track, they're almost locks. And this horse, you got the other Bob Baffert in here, the 5 Massimo, which has got a star under his belt, should be better here. That makes this a little bit interesting, I think. But we'll see. If you see this 5-1, especially, keep an eye on this. If the 3 is 5-1, or say it's like 4-1, 3-1 at 7-2, somewhere in there, like when they're getting the gate, I would back off, But if this horse is being pounded 2-1 or lower, I think he's a huge play. I think it's a good sign this horse is super live. Yeah,
this horse goes off at 2-1. He's very live. I mean, that's a big time tip of the hand. John Velasquez, as you mentioned, for Bob Baffert, he's gotten a lot of the very, very, very good ones. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a runner. I have no interest in Massimo back. When a Baffert horse shows speed and quits first time out, I have no interest in trying to play them back. To me, that's just one of those things where that was the opportunity. If that horse was that good, if this was one of those Bafferts, then that horse would have gone gate to wire and won. I had a little bit of interest in the horse all the way to the outside here. Pratt picks up the mount for Ronus Racing. Hawker, who I thought had a nice debut, was a little bit rank early and then was able to make a run late. We'll be interested to see if the horse second time out is able to step up here. Son of Justify on the board at 3-1. Maybe play the 3-10 exactly here. Try and get a little bit of a number home. All right, that's going to wrap us up here for Dudes Who Bet Daily. It's a big-time college football Saturday. We've got Kentucky Downs. We've got Del Mar. We've got Saratoga. There's tons of picks over at racingdudes.com. Make sure you're checking out the free picks in the premium products page over there. Let's take a look at the best bets here. Jared going to Del Mar, race number 6. Number 3, National Treasure, 5-1 on the morning line. Aaron's going to head to Del Mar, race number 7. Number 8. 3-1 on the morning line there with Hong Kong Harry. Papa Dude taking the San Diego Aztecs -6.5 today against Arizona. I'm going to go for the big game of the day. I'm going to lay it the 16.5 with Ohio State against Notre Dame. Hope we get a blowout. For the week, we're 4-6, down $185. For the year, up $2,590. That does not suck. We'll be back tomorrow with more picks from the horse racing world as well as the sports world. Make sure you check it out, noon Eastern, and we'll have a special Monday episode as well. So we'll be back on Monday, Labor Day as well. Since we got so much going on, why not, right? Got to get those bets out. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We will see you tomorrow.